I'd like to introduce Justin Wheeler from Funraise. And before I ask Justin to come up, Funraise is not a ministry, but I think it's going to be very, very interesting to the people that are in this room, because in this room, you're either probably on a board of a ministry, or my guess is that you are part of a ministry. So one of those two ways, you're going to be very interested in this. It's the back engine of a ministry and what they do, how they take in donations, how they receipt, how they work with donors. And I think you're going to find this fascinating from the perspective whether you're sitting in the board chair or whether you're in the ministry chair. So this is why we've asked Justin to come up and share with you what he's doing through Funraise. Come on up, Justin.
All right, well, thank you. As Jim said, I'm the founder of Funraise, and we are working to help organizations modernize their online fundraising and donor management using cutting-edge technology at a very affordable cost to the organization. And so I want to talk about that, but before I jump into Funraise, I'd like to share a little bit about my story because I've spent a lot of time working in the nonprofit sector, and it's the very reason why I started Funraise to begin with. And so this is my beautiful family. I have 4 kids, and if you're looking at that and it makes you tired, trust me, it is tiring. My wife, Kira, who's here today as well, she's been my partner in crime. Over the last decade, we've been a part of 2 nonprofit startups on the founding teams of Invisible Children and Liberty in North Korea. Invisible Children was founded in 2004, working in northern Uganda to help displaced families and children who are being abducted by Joseph Kony. I've spent a lot of time on the ground in northern Uganda. One of my actually first international experiences was in northern Uganda. I was walking home from a night commuter center where children would sleep at night protected by the military and local police. And as I was walking home, so around 3 in the morning, we got stuck in between crossfires of the rebel army, Joseph Kony's army, and the UPDF military. And we ran for our lives, and of course we made it. But as I got back to our compound that night, I was struck with this perspective that, at any time I could get on a plane and leave, and that there were millions of people here in northern Uganda who didn't have that reality. Was with Invisible Children for 5 years, and we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about my expertise in the nonprofit sector. With Liberty in North Korea, my wife and I were on the founding team as well, and the organization grew significantly in the years that we were operating the organization. We were providing rescues to North Korean refugees in hiding. So North Koreans are fleeing their country because of persecution and political oppression, hiding in China, and our organization basically would smuggle them out of China using a 3,000-mile-long modern-day underground railroad from the border of North Korea and China all the way to Southeast Asia. It'd be a 6-day journey. We've been on many of these rescue missions, and about 60% of the individuals that we were rescuing were actually women and children who were trafficked once they made it into China. So a lot of these individuals would come from brothels and karaoke bars along the border. Over 600 North Korean refugees were rescued through our efforts, and this is still happening today. But one of the things that we did early on was we invested in the right infrastructure to run our operations. I'm not a big fan of the word nonprofit because it insinuates that we're not about profit, when at the end of the day, that's exactly what makes us and allows us to accomplish our mission. The only difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit is in the nonprofit space, your stakeholders are not people who are going to make money at the end of the year. Instead, it's going to flow into the programs and the impact of an organization. And so we ran these organizations with a business mentality. And we invested in the right technology and in the right people. With Invisible Children, we had this big goal. We wanted to mobilize students from all around the world to raise funds to help us put kids in school in northern Uganda. At that time, it was about an 80% non-attendance at this time, at the brink of the civil war in northern Uganda. And so we built a website. And this was in 2005 when technology isn't where it's at today. We spent $250,000 on this dynamic website that allowed people to use their personal networks to raise money in their communities, at their schools, through their families. It took us 6 months to build, and a big financial investment. But at the end of this 2-month campaign, we raised over $2 million in 2 months from high school and college students, and all online. And we did a couple things. We tapped into, obviously, technology, to the power of the internet, and we also were very transparent in real time with where the money was going, and had a really powerful story behind the program. We crafted the narrative in a way that resonated with people. And what I've found in the nonprofit space is that they are the best stories, but often the worst storytellers. What nonprofits are doing today is amazing. When I think of innovation, we often think of big companies like this. But in reality, if you think about the people on the front lines who are solving some of the world's most challenging problems, it's not these big technology companies. It's small nonprofits, big nonprofits who are working on the front lines to bring about change. And the reality is, for many nonprofits, they often lack the resources to accomplish their mission, to fund their mission. And one of the reasons, not the only reason, is because of how hard we've made it to give. If you go onto Netflix today, within a minute, you can sign up and create a recurring payment to pay for your subscription. Within a minute. Very easy, very succinct. Most nonprofits, if you go to the website, it's hard to find where a donation button is, how to give, how to get involved. And if there is a donation button, you have to basically sell your soul to the organization and give everything about you before you actually even submit your credit card. And this drives people away from giving because the process is clunky, it's too much information, and it's just not familiar with other processes out there, like when you buy something on Amazon or when you sign up for Netflix. And so I started Funraise to help organizations provide a better user experience for their web traffic. And also to, once you converted that traffic into a donor, to actually begin a really strong cultivation process. And so I want to talk a little bit about the features that we offer and that we provide through Funraise. First, understand, and most of you in the room probably know this, but in 2017, this year, $30 billion plus will be donated online. It's about 10% of total philanthropic giving in the United States, and that number continues to rise in double digits every year. And so if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, like, we don't need to really invest in online fundraising. We have a small population of donors. Trends are continuing to point towards more and more online giving. And $30 billion already is a huge market for your organization to tap into if you have the right infrastructure in place to accept it. So we started with the basics, a very simple from the outside giving form, which is embedded directly on your website. Your donors trust your brand, your cause, not some third-party technology company. So it's completely white-labeled and lives within your website. And it's international. If you're working around the world, or if you have donors that are giving from around the world, you can translate the form in any language. You can accept currency in over 120 countries. And it's a very internationalized workflow for your donors. We also provide donor intelligence to you. So a lot of times, and I've spent 10 years fundraising for nonprofits, and so I know all like the tricks and tips and how we learn about individuals who are giving. As you know, most people, when they give online, they're not giving at full capacity. They're giving significantly under capacity. And so when a donation happens through Funraise, we are searching the internet for these people. And odds are, if they're relatively wealthy, there's a lot of information you can find about them. And those of you in the room who are on the donor side, don't be freaked out. With or without Funraise, these organizations find this information. But this process is automated. So, for example, if someone were to donate to your website, within seconds, you would get this donor profile, and you would get a wealth score on the donor. So net worth, real estate value of the real estate that they own, gift capacity, organizations that they've given to in the past, You could go as granular as political leanings if you wanted to, but it's a lot of information, all public information. And this is helpful because if you have a list of thousands of donors, or if not hundreds of donors, it helps you prioritize who you should be speaking with, who has the capacity to help you fund your mission. And so this is something that's automated. And also at what we call social media listening. It brings in social media profiles, demographic information, just to help you better understand who's interested in your work, who's already invested, and it could be a potential for you to continue cultivating that relationship. Organizations also, through our platform, have the ability to track major KPIs. We often ask at the end of the year, why are we over or under X percentage? And we usually, tend to look at some of the statistics like, well, I think it's because this event wasn't as successful, or it was, X, Y, and Z. Funraise, we look at leading kind of standard industries. So we look at donor churn, why donors are leaving your organization, why they aren't committing year in and year out. Through different types of reports and different reporting within the platform, you can learn more about your donors, why they're leaving, what their history with you is, so that you can keep them cultivated within the organization. One of my favorite tools that we offer is campaign sites. I know that building websites is challenging, and it takes resources, and it's not something that you can just do flippantly. Within Funraise, you can. You can build a campaign site to fund your next project, your next home, your next whatever goal that you have coming up this year, using drag and drop features. You can build an entire website that allows you to track the progress of that goal in terms of how much is needed, who's sponsoring it, and so forth. And that is all drag and drop features. You don't have to write a line of code. It gives you information about the people fundraising for you. And also, it allows you to automate communication. Communication is vital in online giving and fundraising. It's one of the most important pieces to continue keeping the conversation going and to continue keeping people engaged. And so we have a series of automated emails, not just automated tax receipts. Everyone provides that, but emails that helps push the strategy forward. So if you, for example, have someone who's signed up to fundraise for your cause or for your project, but they haven't started fundraising, over the course of 12 days, you can email them 7 times to get them going to fundraise and to follow through with their pledge. And a lot of different automated workflows that keep things in autopilot as you continue to focus on what's important at the organization. Okay, so we offer a lot more. I don't want to bore you with more details around technology, but I do want to talk about why it's important to modernize your fundraising efforts. I want to share just 3 top-line points that I think are extremely important for you to understand or to remember if this is something that's already on your radar. First, millennials are becoming wealthy. By 2020, $100 billion a year will be donated to charity in the United States through the millennial generation. That's a lot of money, and millennials in several different reports that you can find, Harvard Business Review, one of them, when surveyed tens of thousands of millennials and asked their desired giving methods, and also in regards to the size of donation, 95% said they prefer to give online always. So that's important. So if you want to be able to engage in a younger donor demographic, you have to have a great online experience for your donors. The second one is the ability to increase online giving by something very simple, giving your donation button prime real estate. Now, you all know this. You're fundraisers, or you're a part of fundraising, or you recruit for nonprofits for fundraising. The number one reason why people ask, or why people give in America, is because they were asked. It's the number one reason. It has been for decades. But we're not using our websites to ask people to support our work. And it's a powerful tool. You're not having necessarily to do that much to get people to your site. And I think you'd be surprised if you were to look at the analytics, how many people are visiting your site. And if you could just convert 1, 2, 3, 4% more of that traffic into donors, you would love online fundraising. And I think it's actually quite simple to be able to do. So you have an opportunity to convert your traffic simply by changing where your donation button is. And there's a lot of other things that you obviously can do, but this is the first thing you should do when you get back to your office, if you're a nonprofit, is look where your donation button is at. And it should be not just in one spot. It should be on every page. It should be very visible, very easy to find. Number 3, your time is expensive. We work with a lot of nonprofits, and I'm always amazed, and I was there too, I did it all the time, at what we are willing to spend our time doing versus paying someone to do or finding something more automated to do it so that we can focus on building our organization and investing on actually achieving our mission. And the common excuse that we give ourselves in the nonprofit space is, well, it's just too expensive. We don't know what the ROI is going to be. And so as the CEO, I'm going to write 200 tax receipts for the end of the year because spending 3 days is better than having technology to actually automate this process for me so that I never have to worry about it again. And so your time is expensive. You know what you get paid. Calculate that. Find out how much you're paying yourself per hour. And I guarantee you that technology will be cheaper for you to automate certain workflows that you're spending your time doing. Your time is very, very valuable. So the last question that's always asked is, so how much is your technology? How much does it cost? It's a great question, and it's free, kinda. So one of the reasons I started Funraise is because of how expensive other fundraising software was, right? And they had all sorts of limitations. The amount of records you could have in your software, you were paying monthly, annual, and transactional fees, and it was expensive. And it did scare a lot of nonprofits away from being able to modernize. But the reality is it's 2017. We started the company in 2015. And so what we've built is not that expensive to build. It's cutting edge, and it does a lot of cool things. But it's very affordable to use because of where technology is at today. And so we want to invite you to come talk with us if there's any way that we can help you, even just encourage you if you have questions on upcoming campaigns. I love to help people raise money because I 100% believe in what we're trying to accomplish in the nonprofit space. We're making the world better. And any way that our company can help you do that, it would be an honor for us. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Justin. I think you would agree with me that that's a very fascinating presentation for most of us. We don't realize sometimes you give a donation and now all of a sudden they know who you voted for.